name, so those of you who know me know you have full confidence in me to be able to yell.
Yeah, thank you.
I need light. I will hold you up.
Hold it close.
I need some light. Good evening! Can you hear me?
Hold it close.
Yeah.
Point it up.
My name is Rebecca Reinhardt, and I'm a survivor of sexual violence on the Princeton campus. I was raped in the spring of 1981, my freshman year, as was my roommate 3 days later. I speak to you tonight not only in my voice, but in the voice of countless other Princeton women whose pain I share and hope to articulate. For myself, and for those many others, college life, or the Princeton experience as it is commonly referred to in the admissions booklet, has been colored intensely with the use of violent tones expressing the degradation of the soul, and has been deeply influenced by the lingering feelings of fear, horror, and repulsion. In 1982, Mr. Rudenstein, in a Prince article, claimed there was no major problem of sexual harassment on campus. Funny, if you were in the shoes of our third roommate in that freshman triple in 1981 and had to listen to both your roommates waking up in cold sweats, fresh from nightmares, I bet you would have thought that it was a major problem. And you probably wouldn't have waited 6 years to come up with a report on sexual harassment. But the nightmares died down in the brilliance of the sun shining through Nassau Hall. And I am standing here at night seeing what we have blinded ourselves to in the light of the day. My freshman roommate wrote me a letter last weekend, and I wish to share that with you tonight. My roommate and I had, in the words of one friend, been very close, like Cheech and Chong. We jumped in every pile of leaves available, made every snowman possible, and managed to call each other from every elevator phone on campus. And that Saturday night, after my second roommate had been raped, this roommate left the dorm feeling guilty and isolated, and having had no context in which to display her grief and her horror at both of her other roommates having been raped. We grew distant, and pain threatened to personally tear our friendship apart. Well, the letter says it all. Dear Becca, the articles in the Prince this morning sparked a number of conversations as I wandered about my usual haunts today. I thought about you a lot. I thought about freshman year a lot more than I have in a long time. I know I wasn't much support then. I wanted a normal first year in college, with the normal worries, the normal pressures, and the usual freshman kind of silliness. I guess I resented the fact that events were keeping me from the kind of lifestyle I wanted. So I ran away and tried to pretend that nothing was going on, leaving you in the dust. I told myself I'm there if she really needs me, but otherwise I'm staying out of all this. Except that what you really needed was someone who was around more, something relatively stable for when the world and the university wasn't. But I decided that what I needed was more important than what you needed, and after that, I guess I didn't want to be reminded of it all, particularly my own part. So I continued to stay away, my true reasons buried deep inside along with the memories, so that I really didn't understand it myself. I'm really sorry, Becca. I know it's much too late to do anything. I guess I just wanted to let you know what I was thinking. This isn't making much sense. I generally don't when I'm trying to say what's deep inside. I hope you still know me well enough, or ever did, that you can somehow sift through the words and understand the thoughts behind them. Okay. was immediately approached by two women, young women, one who had been raped only 3 weeks ago. Both said to me that because of my speech, they felt they now had the power to speak that night. And as I walked through the rain last Thursday for 3 hours, I was continually taken aside by young women who now felt they had the support and the solidarity needed to put words to their horrific experiences. Those of you who know me know that I tend to be somewhat humble about myself, although I do have my moments. But I want to tell you tonight that I was deeply moved Thursday and awed and stunned by my ability to reach into others' hearts and tell them that it was okay to bring out that pain, that it was better than keeping it inside. In the movie Ordinary People, the young character is quoted as saying, "Feeling is not selective, I keep telling you that. You can't feel pain, you aren't going to feel anything else either. And the world is full of pain, also joy, evil, goodness, horror, and love. You name it, it's there. Sealing yourself off is just going through the motions, get it? There are those of us at Princeton that do not win Rhodes scholarships, nor grad fellowships, nor coveted jobs on Wall Street. There are those of us that hope by our personal testimony to impact and empower those around us, altering visions. There are those of us like the senior woman who wrote a letter to the editor in the Prince on Monday about her feelings on that Thursday night as a rape survivor, who hope to display through her courage and pain that the silence needs to be broken. Continually. I, standing as a rape survivor, speaking as a rape survivor last Thursday, helped to break the silence and encouraged others to let the floodgates of our anger and our pain ring out through Prospect Street and the corridors of West College and the stairwells of Nassau Hall. Yes, when the Prince asked us in our press conference on Saturday what we thought we saw was seen as so threatening, I tell you that. It was smashing the silence of the deliberate privatization of sexual violence that has been a hallmark on this campus. Yes, it is threatening. Yeah. For silence has been our enemy like a poison through our system. Mr. Rudenstein, when I enrolled at Princeton, I never consented to be a human experiment in your evolutionary philosophy of social justice. I consider the blatant disregard for my consent a violation, as damaging and painful as the initial rape. And for this reason, among many, I am marching last week and this week. And because a Take Back the Night march is the only platform in which survivors of rape and sexual assault can empower themselves, both individually and collectively, I am marching. And when we cry in the shadow of a march, we seek not only to commemorate survival, but also to validate the experience of women's lives. It is time, again, for us to take back our pain, to take back our anger, and to take back the night. I ask you one more time, as I asked you last week, are you ready to take back the night? Yes! And you still aren't loud enough. Are you ready to take back the night? Yes! Okay.
We're going to have a moment of silence now, and any victims in the audience who feel moved to speak at that time can speak. If you don't want to speak, you don't have to speak. But we want to have a few minutes now where people can just think.
to get things started, I have what seems like a minor incident, except that it happened to me during freshman week. And therefore it set the tone, or it set my attitude towards Princeton for that year back when I was less enlightened than I am now. So, I remember one time I was walking through my own dormitory. I was walking through my own dormitory on my way to leave a note for someone else, and two men backed me into a corner and started to grab my breasts and try and pull my clothes off, and I tried to get through the bathroom door, but I couldn't remember the combination. Well, let's not talk about that. So then I ran out the other direction, and that was all that happened. But I went to my RA, and I said, I told her what had happened to me, and she said, "This is college now. You have to expect that kind of thing." So, well, I said to myself, okay, I'm grown up now, and I'm ready to endure this for 4 years, and I endured other similar things, and it colored my perception of what happened to me here. And I'm bringing this up to point out that even a minor incident can have an effect on you. I mean, you remember it, and it comes back to you in different situations, and it undermines you. I hadn't even gotten into classes yet, and somehow I knew that there were people out there who didn't respect my right to my own body. I didn't know these guys from anyone, and I suppose it also told me something that we've learned this week. They were very drunk. I lived in Lurie Love, and we had this thing called the slalom race, and these guys had been through like 3 times or something like that. And they were very drunk. And
It's an excuse.
it's not. That's what I'm about to say. Is that it's not an excuse. It was no excuse for them to approach me there, and it's no excuse now for the students who were out there at 1 a.m. on Prospect Avenue. And yeah, we knew that there'd probably be a lot of drunk students out there, but we know that that's our territory as well, and there's no reason we should stay out of it. Thank you.
I'm standing here with the same feeling of nervousness, fear, and tonight feeling also very overwhelmed. Last week I came out here not planning on speaking at all. And as the march started, I knew that I had no choice if I was to live with myself and know that I had spoken up when I believed in something, that I had to stop the march. And I stopped the march 2 minutes after it began, right over by Theodore Antrim. And I stopped the march again further down campus. And the particular incidents aren't that important at this point. One was an incident of being chased by somebody off campus. Another was an incident of being knocked down by 2 or 3 drunken pranksters from Prospect Avenue. And the thing that's overwhelming me tonight is I have a sense of how many marches is it going to take? How many times am I going to have to get up and feel this scared, this shaky, and say the story over again before people get the message? And I'm really glad to see this many people here tonight. And last week, I left the march before they went down Prospect Avenue. And last week, I listened to people that I knew were speaking for the first time about things that had happened to them. And I left that rally feeling like it was the first time at Princeton that I had heard people be genuinely supportive of each other. And the feeling in that crowd was incredible. And I left before they went down Prospect you in the face the next morning, and it was all a stupid drunken prank in their eyes. And the thing is that for someone that's having that done to them, the difference between a stupid drunken prank and sexual harassment is nil. There is no difference. I've heard over and over again that this is a human issue. I've heard over and over again that the violent reaction is against the Women's Center. I am not part of the Women's Center. I should have been part of the Women's Center. The theory that I can't believe that the Women's Center is getting as much crap as they are when the Women's Center are the only group of people that aren't apathetic, that are the only people that are getting organized to talk about this stuff. And the point is that this issue needs to be picked up and carried off by everyone else, whether they're mainstream, white male, or anybody else. This is our issue. This is everybody's issue, not just the Women's Center.
My name is Laura Hayes. You may have read my letter. I see in the faces before me and the words I've heard tonight a great deal of hope for what is a real problem here at Princeton. And I would like to offer a hope of a little bit different kind to the individual victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment. There is help. There is help out there. I have sought it. It has made a big difference, and I want you to seek it because that is the only way you're going to handle the impossible, horrible thing that has happened to you. Thank you. Okay, the route we're going to take is as follows. We're going to walk... Sorry. We have someone else.
This takes a hell of a lot of balls to do this right now. Or whatever it takes, guys. Humility. It takes a lot of humility to come before you guys. I don't know, I wasn't expecting you to come here. I come to you because I was one of the people who was outside Thursday night and accosted you, yelled at you. I'm the person that is guilty. As I consider myself a victim of my own ignorance. And I'm not here to apologize. I don't know what I'm here for. I'm here to just not to say, because I know that 1,000 sorries aren't going to help. And I know that this isn't going to probably do anything for you. Or I just trying to sort my thoughts and my feelings, and I want to walk with you tonight. I'm sorry.
I'd just like to make a brief statement. I'd just like to state very briefly before we begin that we've been talking here, as we start out, about individual stories. We had an individual now come up and very bravely apologize. But as we go march down Prospect Street, we need to think about the ways in which it's not just individuals who are responsible, but to think about ourselves and our attitudes and how we reinforce these kinds of incidents and what we can do to stop them.
Okay, does anybody else want to speak before I start? Okay, the route is as follows. We're going to walk that way. Towards Prospect. We're going to walk towards Prospect Street through McCosh Courtyard. We're going to walk down Building and McCosh. We're going to go through 1879 Arch and down Prospect Street to the Third World Center at the intersection of Prospect and Olden Roads. Then we're going to turn around and come back the same way between McCosh and the Architecture Building. And we're going to end here, and there are going to be a couple more people to give some closing remarks, and there'll be another chance for other victims to speak. Please stay on the right side of the street when we walk down Prospect Street, and when we walk back up, please stay on the right-hand side of the street. There are people milling around to help you stay on the right-hand side of the street. They're wearing fluorescent armbands, so I think you'll see them.
There's
no one leading this march. We are all walking together, so we can just start moving that way.
Let's go up towards the front. Also go quickly.
If we run around room clash, we're going to kill him pretty hard.
True. Okay.
Light now?
Let's get a quick shot, but let me get on the other side of this.
Okay.
Okay. Stay behind me.
Light?
Nope. The spotlight is good enough. Hi. Okay. We'll just walk towards the front. The borough has their own camera crew here. Okay, so they will going to be towards the back of the march. We should stay towards the front. Okay. Alright, can you be a little careful not to shoot into the lens with the video camera? Just because it has a way of destroying them.
Right, let's cut.
Yeah, okay. I know.
I saw another picture.
You already told him that?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Are we going to be getting this light on Prospect Street?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I was wondering.
Oh, look at that. Candles, huh? Okay, let's just be ready with the light. We don't need to turn it on, see, check it, make sure it's working. Huh? Yeah, no problem. Okay, now let me see how the spread works. Turn it on. Yeah, so you have to be like within 15 feet to get good exposure.
Well, it's better than nothing.
That doesn't mean that the light can't deter people from doing things in case it does turn. I can't imagine it turning nasty, but
You can't see.
if it does, what I'm saying is the light will probably deter people from doing things.
Yeah.
So even though it's no good for the video, we should use it.
Okay.
Okay. Hi.
I know, I thought it was like 500.
They were more than 1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe like 600.
You know, Prospect Street isn't long enough to turn around on. The whole street's going to be full.
Yeah. Wait, they say they're walking up Alden Street, did they say?
No, they're just gonna turn around and come back, but there's too many people for that. All right, let's run a little bit ahead to Prospect. Get people turning the corner, coming around the arch.